I want to retire early, but I also want to make big changes in my life that might impact my ability to save as much money as I need to retire super early. Welcome back to First Gen Money, a YouTube channel for all things money and lifestyle from a first gen millennial's perspective. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to learn about how to improve your money situation, how to talk about money with your parents, with your significant other, or your friends, then you're going to want to hit that subscribe button so you can get notified every time I put out a new video. So if you're new here, welcome. But I did want to, before we jump into today's video, give an announcement. I am launching a podcast, Amigas Get Money, and I want you to be aware that it's happening. So we're launching in mid-December. I haven't put out a launch date just yet, but if you want to hear updates on when this is happening, be sure that you follow me on Instagram, where I will kind of share when the podcast will release. We are going to be highlighting Latinas who are pursuing their passions and making money while they do it. So be sure to stay tuned to what I'm doing on Instagram, because you'll hear all the latest details on the podcast right there. Okay, now let's jump into today's video. Today we're talking about slow FI, slow financial independence, retire early. This is what you would say like category within the entire like financial independence, retire early movement. But it's different in many ways, and we're gonna go into what those differences are, why somebody might want to pursue slow fire versus the traditional fire that I've talked about in previous videos, which I will link up here. First, before we jump into slow fire, I do want to acknowledge that this term was coined by the pioneers in one of their blog posts, and I'm actually gonna use their definition, share it with you as they have defined it and how we'll talk about it in today's video. So I'm gonna read it from their site. So the pioneers defined slow fire when someone utilizes the incremental financial freedom they've gained along the journey to financial independence to live happier and healthier lives, do better work, and build strong relationships. Obviously, the goal is the same, right? We want to hit financial independence, but as the term itself says, it is a slower way to that financial independence goal, because everybody who is pursuing slow fi wants to enjoy their journey to like the destination, which is financial independence and, you know, never having to work again because they're set. It's enjoying our journey there, instead of maybe like with fire being heads down and working for X amount of years so we can reach that destination and then pursue what it is that we want to pursue. Just like with the regular fire, there is no right way to pursue slow FI. What really matters is about where you are right now in your money journey and what you want to do in the path towards financial independence. For a lot of people, it's going to be very different. Some people are going to want to choose lower paying jobs because they love the mission behind where they work. Other people will want to take some time off work entirely, pursue their creative dreams or whatnot. So what it is that you do and how you get to the end goal is going to be different for everybody, just like with fire. But with slow fi, it's about taking the time to sit and think about, what money foundation have I established today? What would be an ideal life for me right now? Why does slow fire resonate with me? When I first found out about financial independence, retire early, and the movement, I was like, okay, I could do this. I can save a large portion of my paycheck because I'm already keeping my costs super low. Like, this is easy for me to do. Like, I'm enjoying the kind of job that I'm doing. I could have continued on that way, but I knew that a lot of people can't save 70 or 80% of their paycheck, especially if, you know, they have dependents or they have lower paying jobs. I have a high paying job, and it was easy for me at the time to like see that as a possibility for me for the long term until I hit FIRE. Of course, a lot of new voices have entered the space since I first heard about FIRE in 2016, 17. A lot more diverse voices have entered the space to give their perspective. And those voices have helped to see that there are other ways to pursue FIRE. And I think a slow FIRE is one of those different ways to pursue it, right? It doesn't have to be about being in a job that you don't like for 8 years just because you need to keep that savings rate up because it's a high-paying job or whatnot. And so I think with the introduction of more voices into the space, we're now seeing just alternative ways to pursue this lifestyle. Since I discovered slow financial independence last year, summer of 2020, and I've been thinking about how it fits into my life and my life goals, and the reason why I'm more so moving along this path of the traditional FIRE where I thought, you know, I could do this for like 10 years and then retire to the slow FIRE is because there are different things I want to do in my life, and I will share more about what that is in a later video, but there are creative pursuits that I'm interested in exploring that I've kind of been putting on hold since I graduated because I had these money goals that I wanted to achieve because I thought I wanted one thing, but as it turns out, a lot of thought, a lot of processing that I've done, I realized actually I want something else for my life. And that might mean I no longer have a high-paying tech job, but instead start at entry level in this new industry that I want to explore. I've been thinking about this since I discovered Slow FI, and I'm like, this is possible. Like I have, as the pioneers mentioned, reached some kind of level of financial independence, and I'm not post-FIRE, I'm not financially independent at all. I'm not even, I mean, I'm like halfway there, but I'm not there. But I have paid off my debt. I have reached a net worth that I am proud of and that I believe will continue to grow. And I have saved a good amount of money. So I've reached a kind of level of financial freedom that I'm like, okay, it could be a good time to explore this other side of me that I know I've been putting on pause for years. It's an option to say, I want to do something else. I want to see where this goes. I want to completely pivot in my life. We only have one life, right? If I continue to put these ideas that I have on hold, who does that serve? There's never going to be the right time to do it. It resonates with me a lot more, and it has been for the last year than when I just first discovered financial independence and the retire early movement. That's why I'm making this video. I feel like somebody out there too can benefit from learning about this slow approach to financial independence. Going back to what the heck is the difference? Because the word slow is in front of the financial independence aspect of it, my initial goal was like 8 years, or before 35, I'd be financial independent and I wouldn't have to work and I can do whatever I want with my life. But with slow FIRE, with slow FI, it'll be a longer journey, but the goal is that I'm enjoying what I'm doing over that longer journey that it's taking me to hit financial independence. The pioneers share a question that one of their friends, Modest Millionaire, always asks, and it's, if you could never retire, what would your life look like? If retiring wasn't an option, what about your life would you change? What about your life you would stop doing? Like, how do you live a life that you'd be okay doing for the rest of it? So I thought that was a very interesting question and just a different way to like ask yourself oh, what would you do if you retired? Like what would your life consist of? And more so saying, my life today, would I be happy with it if I could never retire from it? And I remember my friend Anita from The Retired Millennial, she did a Slow FIRE series herself and interviewed me for it, and she was like, if you couldn't retire? Like, would you be doing what you're doing now? And I think I said yes, but in reality, I don't think I would be working my marketing job. No, I wouldn't want to. Like, I get to be creative, I get to write and really bring that side of my brain into my job, but my passions really lie somewhere else. And if I couldn't retire, this wouldn't be the life that I want for myself. So I want to pose that question to you now and ask you, what would you do if you could never retire? What would your life look like? Is the life that you're living now something that you could see yourself doing forever because you could never retire? So changing that question up to be like, this is your life. This is what it's gonna look like for the rest of it because you're not allowed to retire. Are you happy about it? Ask yourself, sit with it. So moving on, I really think this approach to financial independence, the slow FI approach, is beneficial for a lot of people. I think it allows individuals who have people that depend on them, who maybe have to retire their parents, who maybe have things in their life that they want to explore, to be able to say, you know what, I could still hit financial independence. It is just going to look a bit different for me. It just makes it more approachable, right? It makes it more approachable for a lot of people. It's not to say that FIRE and, the FIRE movement, people can't achieve it, because there have been examples of people who haven't made more than like 50K a year who've been able to hit financial independence. But when there are other factors in your life at play, it does make it a bit difficult. And when you are building generational wealth for the first time in your family, there are different factors that go into your ability to actually be able to save 80% of your income, because maybe you have to send some of that income to relatives. And maybe that entire paycheck isn't yours to choose and do whatever you want with. And I think that's something that's been missing from the larger FIRE conversation is, what about the people who just graduated and because they're the first in their family to go to college, because they're the first in their family to have a corporate job that pays well, are expected, or maybe not expected, but feel the pressure or feel like they want to support the family that helped them get there, the community that helped them get there. How does it look for somebody who has that? I think a lot of the times when I first heard about FIRE, it was like, yeah, just take your paycheck and divide it like this and do it like this. But it's like, is that the case for everybody? Like, is everybody's paycheck 100% theirs? I don't know. I definitely think the slow FI route is more approachable to people. And I think it makes it seem like it's possible for them too. But I think it's important to kind of remind ourselves what still matters in this journey to financial independence, the slow route. And it's not that like people who are pursuing slow financial independence spend outside their means, don't care about where their money is going, or are just kind of like I'm never retiring, I'm YOLO everything. That is not what this is. Things still matter in the slow pursuit of financial independence. And some of those things are obviously still your savings rate. Are you spending more than you're making? If you are, then you're not really on a path to retiring ever, right? Because if you're always spending more than you bring in, then you always have to make money, and you're always going to be putting money on credit cards. So again, living below your means, being mindful, intentional about the things that you buy, because maybe you have a lower paying job and you have to be more mindful as to where those funds are going, because you can quickly go into overspending. So those are still things that, like, on the slow path, you still have to consider. Maybe you retire at a traditional age, but you can't retire at some point if you've never saved, if you've never invested, if you're always living above your means. So those are still things that we need to take into consideration when we're on the slow journey to financial independence. And I wanted to share this all with you because I think with everything going on in the world right now, the Great Resignation, people quitting their jobs, we are seeing people really look into their life and saying, is this what I want for myself? Did I really want to be doing this for 40, 30, whatever many years? No. There are other ways that we could live our life. And I think the FIRE movement did that very well. It made us be like, this shit is possible. It is possible to not work 40 years of your life, but taking a different approach to it. So it's not like, you know, we're working heads down for 10 years, saving everything, and maybe not living the exact same life that we want because we're hoping that 10 years down the line, that's when we're able to live the life we envision for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, you might not make it those 10 years. Your life might be cut short right after you hit that financial independence number. So that's Lo-Fi. I really have the Pioneers to thank for this, because when I read their blog post, I was like, this is kind of like what I'm doing. This is kind of the approach that I want to do. And now, a year plus out, I am making steps towards the life that I want to live. And I can't wait to share what I'm working on, what I'm thinking about with you all, because I will need all of your support. That is it for this video. I hope this was helpful. I hope you took something from it. And if you did, please hit that like button, share this video with a friend, and I'm sure you already subscribed, but if you haven't, subscribe to this channel. I will see you all next week. As mentioned, follow me on Instagram so you can stay up to date with the podcast launch and hear from other incredible Latinas, because what I can't do on YouTube is network and meet other women. I can, but it's outside of YouTube. What I can do with the podcast is have conversations with other amazing women who are doing amazing work that they love. So follow me on Instagram for all of that. I will see you next week.